Hi everybody, I'm Zilla Blitz and welcome to Wargame Shelf Tour number 6. In this series we take 10 semi-randomly selected games off the shelves behind me and the kind of expanding shelves around the house. Talk about why they got into my collection and what I like about them, or what I hope to like about them if I haven't played them yet. Let's jump in and get started with our first game. To start out, we've got some new additions to the game family. First one up, mainly because a lot of the companies have had their winter or Black Friday sales and some of the stuff started to come in. So, I may have fallen victim to a couple of them. First up, Battle of the Bulge by Compass Games. Now this is World War II Commander Volume 1. This was interesting because when I came back to Wargaming it's a little bit over a year and a half ago now, one of the things that was kind of a running joke that I quickly learned about is how many Battle of the Bulge games there are. So as I was looking at Battle of the Bulge games and thinking, oh, that might be interesting, I thought, no, wait, I've already got a lot of Battle of the Bulge games. Well, it turns out, as I was looking at this, I realized I didn't have one. The only one I had was Ardennes 44 from Mark Simonich. That's the only Battle of the Bulge game that I had. So when I saw this, I figured I could forgive myself a second Battle of the Bulge game, especially when the designer is none other than John Butterfield. Pretty much if you put John Butterfield's name on a game, even if you say like John Butterfield saw this game, I'm probably going to buy it just because I think I've had really good experiences with everything that he's made. I just feel like there's a certain, whatever, I just like his stuff, right? Okay, so I saw this, it was on a Compass Games winter sale. All of Compass Games stuff is still on sale, by the way, through like January or something like that. So they have some pretty good deals there. And I couldn't resist picking this one up. Now this is Area Movement. Of course it recreates the Battle of the Bulge, and that's about the extent of what I know about it. It just came in like a week or so ago, and I'm very excited to kind of digging in and giving it a shot as we get into 2023. My very second Battle of the Bulge game. I will also say I saw that not that we need more games, but I saw that there was a Volume 2, which is Operation Market Garden. John Butterfield's working on that one for Compass Games as well. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to resist that one either, to be totally honest. But anyway, Battle of the Bulge from Compass Games, designed by John Butterfield. Second game is another new one. This came in from MMP, Multi-Man Publishing, had their winter sale a little while ago. Well, November sale, I guess it was. And I've long wanted to try their Great Campaigns of the American Civil War. This is Volume 12 in it. It's Hood Strikes North, which captures Hood's offensive in November of 1864 to capture Nashville, Tennessee. One of my goals for next year is to kind of indulge myself a little bit more in American Civil War gaming. So I thought I'd try to get a representative game of most of the big systems, as well as kind of a grand strategy game. If you watched one of the previous shelf tours, I mentioned I got the US Civil War by GMT Games as kind of the strategic level game, and Hood Strikes North strikes me as a good opportunity to check out this series from Multi-Man Publishing. One of the things that encourages me, they say gameplay, I've heard gameplay is really good. I've also heard that the historical representation is really strong as well. So looking forward to digging into this one. It does mention that this one is designed for newcomers to the series too, which is always helpful when you're starting to jump into a series of 12 games or more. So Hood Strikes North, our second game on our shelf tour from Multi-Man Publishing. Our third game really doesn't need an introduction. It's probably been long overdue on my shelves, but it's been out of print for the longest time. Cuba Libre from GMT Games, Volume 2 in their coin series, and often described as one of the great kickoff or starting points for the coin series. And there's a lot of coin games. There's more than 10 of them right now. This, of course, designed by Volko Runke and Jeff Grossman. Got a chance to play this one. This one's actually still in shrink wrap because this is my copy that just came, but Sobi Yosef and Boomzilla and Sobi Yosef's son and I played a 4-player game. They were very kind to teach me my first coin game. We played about a month and a half ago. Had a great time. It convinced me that I want to spend more time with the series, and I also want to dig into the solo bot systems too. But this did feel like this was a very manageable introduction to the series. I felt like we had a lot of fun. We got through, I don't think we got through the whole game, but we played a good portion of the game as well as learned the game pretty much in like 3 hours or something like that, which from going from 0 to almost done with the first game, I felt like was a pretty good pace to pick it up. So thanks to them for teaching me how to play. And yeah, I think it fully deserves its reputation as an introduction to the coin series. And I'm looking forward more now to digging into more of the coin games. So there we go. The next one is one game, but it's 2 games, and I'll explain why. France 1940. So one of the things I'd like to do going forward is to dig more into the older games. The very first tabletop wargaming video series that I did was Africa Corps from Avalon Hill. And the reason I did that, I put that up there because I thought nobody would watch it. So it's kind of a really slow, kind of gradual introduction to kind of getting better at making these types of videos. Well, people seem to really like it. So I'm thinking, wow, I should go back and maybe explore some of my older games. Plus it'd be just fun to do that, right? France 1940 from Avalon Hill, of course, an older classic game. And I realized I had this one. This was my original copy, but the counters were all screwed up. They were offset. They were literally cut right across, like almost like 3/4 of the way across. It was just a really bad printing. And for whatever reason, I think this was a hand-me-down for my brother as well. For whatever reason, he didn't do anything. He just kind of wrote some of the things on the counters. So I've got the game, but as I'm looking at it, it's like, well, that's not going to look very good on video, and it's kind of a mess. And then Noble Knight, I was ordering some stuff from Noble Knight a few months ago, and they have free shipping at a certain amount, and I was like $10 short of that free shipping amount. So I thought, oh, what can I find that's really cheap? And they had an older version of France 1940 that was something like, I think it was $10. And I thought, well, there you go. That's perfect. So I got this one because I wanted the counters, not because I want the map and the game board. I think there might be something off with the game board or something like that, they said. So it was really cheap. But the counters are what I needed. So marry these two together, and I think I have a good version of the game. I remember playing this one a lot. And I don't remember actually it was a good game. That's one of the kind of the goals for next year in the channel, is to bring in a few of the older games. If you have ideas, and I probably shouldn't ask for suggestions as to what older games you would like to see, because pretty much right now, anytime I put up a tabletop wargaming video about something that asks for suggestions, like somebody mentions their favorite old Avalon Hill game, and I know there are a lot of us out there that kind of cut their teeth on Avalon Hill and SPI and stuff like that. But I do think it'd be fun to bring some of those, not as kind of just showcasing them, but as to actually digging in and doing like a playthrough on some of them, like I did with Africa Corps for the first one, because tremendously fun to revisit them from a nostalgia standpoint, and also to kind of evaluate them, kind of comparing now to modern game standards, because we've learned a lot. We've improved a lot since then. I mean, most of these games didn't have step systems and things like that. So things that are almost core to war games now, at least hex and counter war games, these didn't really exist back when these games were made. So if you do have suggestions for older Avalon Hill games you'd like to see brought to the channel, it's going to be a while. I've got a pile of games to work through, and I'll talk about that in the channel update. But let me know, and I'll try to get there. But France 1940, at some point I'm going to put both of these together and make the best version of it, and then probably pass the other one on to someone or something like that. Or I thought it'd be fun for the shelf tour to actually take the two games that are on my table right now. These are the games that I'm learning, playing, making videos for, the games that are up at bat, if you would. And I usually have two going at the same time in various stages of video construction and gameplay construction and things like that. So, first one, The Chase of the Bismarck from Vuca Simulations. Now, I don't want to spoil too much of the fun for the videos coming up and things like that, but the graphic design on this one, I did an unboxing of it a little while ago. The graphic design on this one is absolutely spectacular, and I am very much liking what I'm seeing for the gameplay so far. Of course, in this game, it's a double-blind two-player system, so both players have screens up in front. You can't see your opponent's map. The maps are identical, except one's in German, which is really cool, okay? The maps are identical, and you're kind of trying to search and hunt, and then there's a combat system for surface combat, and you're trying to attack with planes. And basically, if you're the Allied forces, you're trying to hunt down the Bismarck. If the Bismarck, you're trying to sink some stuff and get some points, and then get the Bismarck back to safety. Fantastic cat and mouse double-blind game system. I am really enjoying. It's a very precise game, and I like that. I've come to realize that I like games that have a precision, and a procedure and precision is fine, because once you get up to speed in it, things start to go really fast. It's a very tight game, very beautiful game with tons of historical accuracy into it. So I'm hopeful that'll make a good video series as we come forward with this one. I'm having a great time digging into it now, The Chase of the Bismarck from Vuca Simulations. All right, so the next game is off to my right here, kind of learning and playing. So I've been playing this one quite a bit this weekend too. V is for Victory from Lock and Load Simulations and designed by Sean Drulinger. This is a toy box in a box. I mean, there's over 800 cards in this box. It recreates tactical combat on the Western Front. So you've got mostly US forces, some British and some Canadian forces against German forces. And it's a tactical level card-laying combat played out on this screen, this mat kind of in front of you. It's a very unique game, I want to say that. It's got a 2-player system and a highly developed and highly refined solo bot system. So he actually works and the solo bot's going to play against you. It's not just going to kind of spawn things. It's not a solo bot engine. It actually plays against you. It's somewhat of a commitment to learn, I'll say, although it has surprised me a little bit in some places where it's easier to learn than I thought it is. But the gameplay, wow, it's really fun. I mean, it's fun. I think this is going to be, at some point towards the end of December, I'm going to make my top game experiences for 2022. The games that I have played and enjoyed the most in 2022, regardless of when they were published. Just, this is the most fun I had with this year in gaming. I have to say, without giving too much away, I think this one is a very strong contender to make the list and perhaps pretty high up on it. I have a blast with it. I'm going to be totally honest. I had some concerns with it when I started to learn the kind of terrain system and some of the kind of the nuances to the terrain system. I'm like, really? And then as I've played it more now, I'm like, no, this really works. This is really cool. And it's got like so much stuff in it. There's 800 cards in here with so much gear and equipment. And I can just see this being kind of a system going forward. You can create almost like any tactical engagement you want. Your imagination's the limit. There's tons of scenarios in the box and stuff like that. But yeah, I haven't fully given it a full review yet. And I got to spend more time with the solo bot and stuff like that. But everything I've seen from it so far, this is just a fun tactical combat simulation. Very unique. It is a little bit of a lift to learn and to get into it. I'm going to say not so much to learn, but I think it's a lift to get fluent at the system. And I think getting fluent at the system is important for enjoying the gameplay, because there's a lot of pieces. You got to kind of get fast enough at execution for the game to flow and for it to feel really fun. But if you're willing to put in those few hours to do that, I think it pays itself off handsomely in gameplay. So Point Blank V is for victory. There'll be more. This is coming up. I think this is probably the next video, the next gameplay video to the channel. I'm almost at the point now where I think I can ready to shoot this one. So Point Blank V is for victory from Lock and Load Simulations. Okay. So the next game is actually kind of funny, because before I started making the video, I realized I didn't know what the game was about, and now I know what the game is about. It's a little bit funny given one of our earlier games and one of the earlier conversations. So this is another game that just came in like about a week ago from one of the holiday sales. Very thin game. It is Celis. And I realize now that this is a game about the Battle of the Bulge. It's not the Battle of the Bulge, but it's a battle within the Battle of the Bulge. And it comes from Revolution Games. Again, it was 20 bucks on sale. And the reason I picked it up was about a month ago, I put up the video called Top Introductory War Games, which are basically the war games that I've played that over the past year and a half that I felt like would be really good games to introduce people to wargaming. And in the course of putting up that one, a bunch of people put comments on that video, and a bunch of people whose opinions I respect said, oh, you should really check out Celis. So many people mentioned the game that I thought, oh, well, okay, I'll take a look. And I was expecting it to be like 60 bucks or something like that. It's like, okay, I'll put it on a list to check out sooner, later or something like that. But it's normally like 30 bucks, and it's on their winter sale right now for 20 bucks. Which made it a really easy decision. It's like, oh, 20 bucks, sure, I can do that. And the shipping's really cheap too, because it's really thin, as we say. So I picked it up, and I mean, that's the extent of what I know about it, to be totally honest. There's not much else I can say, but it does give me an idea, because I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool to do a bulge off? And I realize now that I thought I didn't have any Battle of the Bulge games, but I have the Battle of the Bulge World War II Commander, which I picked up recently. I did have Ardennes 44 from Mark Simonich, which is something to look at. And then I realized I have another one, which is Bitter Woods, another Compass game. So I actually have 4 Battle of the Bulge games right now, and I didn't think I had any. So we have a bulging problem, perhaps. But it'd be cool to have a bulge off, to play all the games in 1 month. Ideally December would have been the month to do it, but I'm not going to have time to do it this month, I know. But to play all the Bulge games and compare them to one to another, that'd be kind of fun. And kind of thinking of it, Lanzerath Ridge, which we just had on the channel a little while ago, is a game within the Battle of the Bulge. I mean, I wouldn't say that's necessarily a Battle of the Bulge game, though, because it's a tactical simulation that happened during the Battle of the Bulge, but it's really removed from the overall kind of operational or strategic level elements that the Battle of the Bulge had wrapped around it. So Celis, I'm rambling. Celis from Revolution Games. Looking forward to this one as a potential candidate for one of our top introductory war games, and heard really good things about it. So the next game is actually the second game that overlaps with Pushing Cardboard's recent shelf tour. And he's actually the one that motivated me to really dig back into these, because I was watching his channel. He put up, I think, his second shelf tour, and he had France 1940 on it. I was laughing because I already had these games off in a pile beside the desk here to look at. And I thought, oh, that's funny. He's got one that overlaps. And this is another one that's in his video. He does shelf tours as well. You might want to go check out his video. I'll put a link down below. Really cool shelf tours that he talks about his games. He has a lot more older games than I do, and a lot more, well, it's just interesting to see the different interests that people have in the collections that people have. But this is another overlap from one of his, long story short. Twilight Struggle. Now, this one, it's actually dusty. I'm not sure quite why it's dusty. Another game that I think I have the same experience with Pushing Cardboard. So I bought the tabletop version and I bought the Steam version. I've played the Steam version probably 30 times or so, and I've yet to play the tabletop version. I love the Steam version. I absolutely love the Steam version. And this is a game I think it shines in two-player. It's so, because you kind of don't know what your opponents have. Card knowledge plays a big role in the game and things like that. And of course, Twilight Struggle is kind of a game of the Cold War, where one person takes the US, one person takes the Soviet Union, and you're fighting kind of for geopolitical dominance, if you would, over the world in various parts of the world. Really fascinating game by Jason Matthews. I mean, one of GMT's, I think it's its all-time bestseller. So if you don't have this game and you're interested in wargaming or conflict simulation, you know, this is almost a no-brainer to have. Although I think I might actually, given the fact that how much I've played the Steam version and how much I like the Steam version, all of it two-player. I don't like the Steam version against the AI. The AI, it's not that the AI is bad, it's just that this game against a human is how you play it. It's just a two-player game that you really have to kind of outthink and think with your opponent and figure out what they're going to do. Just a marvelous two-player game. I can see why it's got its accolades. And I do think, again, that what people notice and what Pushing Cardboard said as well, that the card deck knowledge is critical. And there's kind of stages to the game. So I find, like, I think I'm pretty good now at that first level, but then as you get later on in the game, a lot of games end pretty early. So I haven't played much with especially the third level. I think that's the last level of the game. And with that, I'm pretty easy to get beat if it gets that far. But yeah, this is a fun game. If you haven't played it, everybody's played it, right? If you haven't, and if you were interested in playing on Steam and you're watching this, I haven't played recently. I'd love to get back into it a little bit over the holiday season. So let me know down in the comments if you're looking for a game of Twilight Struggle and would like to play. I'm not very good at it, so be nice to me. Next one goes old school again, and it's part of a quest I have. So I have a quest to well, let me put it this way. My goal is to explore adventure and discovery games and to see what's out there and to find kind of the best in the genre, if you would. One of the reasons I want to do that is I feel like it's a really hard thing to put into a game format and to keep it interesting and to keep it replayable, right? Because once you discover things, well, you know where they are, and so you get the idea. You can play it once, and then you're done with it. So there's a lot of challenges, I think, and that's not the only challenge. There's a lot of challenges to designing a great discovery and exploration game. And that conversation came up in one of the earlier videos, and everybody said, not everybody, but again, a bunch of people put comments in the video and said, oh, you should check out this game. Source of the Nile from Avalon Hill. This is a game of African exploration in the 19th century. Really old style. You're supposed to like use these erasable markers and write on the map, and the map has almost nothing on it. So as you kind of explore Africa, you kind of write it in and things like that. I don't think I'll be writing on the map, but I'm looking forward to playing it. It's got an amazing event system, which I think is a cool mechanic. It's almost like an event book that you look up the different events in. So lots of different things can happen. People said that if you like exploration games and don't mind a little bit old school, pen and paper kind of writing and things like that, this is a game that might be up your alley. So very much interested to see how this one plays out. And I know other people have mentioned Seventh Continent, which I've got and picked up and going to look at it that way. And then I have Heart of Darkness from Legion Wargames. So that's kind of a goal for the future here, is to play these. And I have also to share a small dream. I just recently read Over the Edge of the World about Magellan's voyage, the circumnavigation of the Earth. And 500 years ago. It's amazing to think what happened. The book is so fascinating. I'm thinking, wouldn't that be cool to put into game format in some way? Now, there's some issues in there. There's some colonialism issues that you might want to address as a game designer. I'm going way off tangent, but this stuff just fires me up. I just love really good exploration games, and I'm fascinated by the topic of taking exploration and discovery, whether it be in like a sci-fi format or an Earth format or whatever, and bringing that into a game format that's exciting to play. So I picked up Source of the Nile. It's one of the games from the shelf. Avalon Hill, old school African exploration. If you have ideas on other exploration games that you know about, I'd be excited to hear about them actually too. Last up, these all I feel like, one of the games spawn conversations and they have stories of themselves, I realize. As I do these shelf tours, I realize, like each game has its little history. It's a personal history and then also how it falls into why did you get it and what your experiences were or what you're excited about it and things like that. And this one I think has a story as well. Heroes of the Pacific, Lock and Load's tactical series. This is one game, of course, in a family of games, tactical level combat, US forces against Japanese forces, tactical battles on some of the various island campaigns in World War II. So there's scenarios from places like Tarawa, Peleliu, and then Iwo Jima. And again, it's ground level, gritty kind of stuff. I've called this, this again is a family of combat games. Interestingly enough, I understand that some of the mechanics overlap with Point Blank, especially in like some of the firing resolution, maybe for armored vehicles or something like that. So I think if you know Point Blank and then jump at this, you're going to kind of at a certain point recognize some of the mechanics. And then once you play this or know this, if you learn Point Blank, you'll be like, oh yeah, I recognize that. Now this exists also in digital format too. So there's a bunch of games on Steam where you can pick these up. Relatively inexpensive too, especially during some of their sales and things like that. I'm excited to dig into the system. One of the goals for one of my upcoming goals is to explore a lot of the major like tactical level simulations, kind of Advanced Squad Leader, Lock and Load's tactical simulation, as well as Combat Commander too. And I understand they're all very different, covering the same thing. So I'm very interested from just a game design and a game exploration kind of angle, which ones of these will I find the most enjoyable, which ones will I really like, because I really do like tactical combat games of pretty much any nature, be they sci-fi, World War II, modern, ancient, or anything like that. There's something about that ground level tactical element that I just found really appealing. I mean, I like strategic games, I like operational games, and I like tactical games too. Who am I kidding? I like them all, but I really like the tactical level, probably the same as, they're just, yeah, these kind of games are just fun. So let's just stop there. But anyway, Heroes of the Pacific, Lock and Load's tactical. So I'm looking forward to going and kind of digging into this family of games as we move on towards the future here. So very excited to give this one a shot. This one came in recently as well. Well, there you go. We've frittered away another half an hour talking about semi-random games from the shelves behind me, or in this case, 8 semi-random games from the shelves behind me and 2 completely non-random games that are currently on my gaming table. Which ones of these do you have? Which ones of these do you have fond memories of? I'd love to hear it. Drop it down in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy our very first Wargaming series videos that I did, which about 1.5 years ago, I put up a series on Africa Corps. I'll put a link to it up here if you haven't seen that one yet. Be kind, it was the first series I made, so I'm still learning and still trying to improve, but that was very much a beginner type level effort at making these types of videos. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great day and have a happy holiday season.